Hello, friends. How you doing this morning? It's a Friday. The interest rate investing is ever increasing, and I wanted to share with you an activity I gave my students this morning. One of the things that you quickly realize when you get into real estate investing is it's not really about the house or the property or the apartment per se. It's about the return or yield or cash flow or some metric that's important to you to consider, right? The property is the vehicle that should be generating you, the investor, some kind of return, either at cash flow or appreciation, or yield, or whatever that is for you. So one of the things that I deem as a goal of mine in the online course and with my students is, how can we break down the math behind evaluating a property, sort of get that ironed out. But then more importantly, or perhaps most importantly, is how do we tweak individual variables to affect the outcome? Because, you know, one of the things that you quickly realize when you're in this game is, I don't know, 95 to 98% of the properties that are listed are not deals. And if you want to call them a deal, they're bad deals. But new investors don't really understand that. So one of the things that I deem critical is if somebody signs up for my course is to understand, okay, well, let's share with you the details behind my formula, which is very simple. It's basically, how much cash does it take to secure and make this property perform? And how much is the expected cash flow, right? The expected yearly cash flow is called the numerator. The total cash invested is the denominator, and then that turns into a decimal point, which you multiply by 100%, and it suddenly becomes a percentage, aka yield. Don't worry about the specifics if you're interested. Don't really understand this. I strongly suggest getting the course. It's broken down in lots of detail. But here's the assignment, right? Is just pick two properties in your market. Don't overthink it. Just pick two. And calculate the return on that property. I'm going to assume the return is bad, right? Because we just randomly pick properties. Let's assume the yield is 3.2% and I don't know, 4.1%. Let's just pretend. Okay, great. That's your baseline. Now what I want you to do is we're going to play with three variables in this equation, and we're going to see what does it take to get a 10% return. Now, let's be clear. I picked 10% because it's double digits. It's impressive. It's big. And again, this is more about learning the process and the variables, not going, hey, I can get a 10% return. That's not what we're doing. I'm trying to help you understand how unique variables can drive outcomes. So there's three variables that we're going to change, right? So we've baselined your properties. Now take those two and copy them or move them down or duplicate them or whatever you want to do. What we're going to do first is, how low does the purchase price have to be with everything else being equal, down payment, closing costs, make ready, rents, interest rate, all that, to produce a 10% return? Does it have to go down 15%, 30%? What does it have to do? I think that's an interesting exercise, because what that teaches you, or what it should at least show you, is that list price is just a number. I believe too many of us are offering list price. If you're a flipper or something that's in and out in months, maybe it doesn't matter. But that's not what I teach. I teach cash flow. And frankly, you make your money when you buy. So you need to find situations where you can buy expecting a return. So again, how low does the purchase price have to get in order for the return, what I call yield in my course, to go to 10%? That's an interesting exercise. And I think you'd be shocked. I think some of you may have to lower the purchase price by 50%, while most of you probably have to lower it by at least 25%. But again, that tells you something you're learning. Now, okay, go back to your baseline, those first two, and copy them again. This time we're going to leave purchase price the same, but instead we're going to play with rent. How high does rent have to go for you, again, to earn 10%? Does it have to go up $100, $200, $300, right? What has to happen to rent And again, this is not saying that your market will support this rent. This is not what we're doing. We're again trying to understand what one variable change in this formula can impact yield. And again, I preach, teach, show, whatever you want to call it, that yield is the variable that I use to compare deals. So, how high does rent have to go? I suspect rent likely has to increase for most of you at least $200. And for some of you, it might be a whopping $400, right? So again, figure it out. What has to happen? And again, you're going to start to see how all these changes occur. Okay, so that's the second one. We're only going to do 3. So now what I want you to do is copy those first 2 again, right? Your baseline. And now what we're going to do is we're going to play with mortgage payment. And for some of you that are more sophisticated, for you, maybe that's interest rate. But at the end of the day, your baseline has some mortgage payment. Let's just say it's $725. I don't know what it is. Let's just say it's that. What I want you to do is reduce the payment until the yield is again 10%. And again, 10% is an arbitrary number. If you think that's stupid, pick 8. I don't care. We're trying to figure out what variables impact your outcome, right? That's what we're trying to do. That's what's important, people, right? All these years of investing, it's not about the house, it's not about the duplex, it's not about the 20-unit apartment building. It doesn't matter. They are vehicles. And what is important is the expected yield or return given base assumptions. So again, this is a fun exercise. It's kind of a mental challenge to see how well you understand it. You're going to baseline 2 properties. You're then going to play with purchase price. Second, you're going to play with rent. And third, you're going to play with mortgage payment. And if you want to keep going and playing with this, you can start to understand how all 3 variables can change, and you can get really fun and exciting. And that's an important skill. It's frankly one of the most important skills I teach in my course. I tell them after step 3 that they should understand what a bad, average, good, and great deal are. And if you play with this long enough, that's where you should get. You should quickly understand what a good or great, bad, or average deal is. If you want to learn more, you just want to check out the outline of the course, I'll leave a comment below with where you can find it. It costs you nothing to look at it. And what I'll offer you today is a $50 off with the coupon code. Forgive me, I might sneeze. It's YT50. So it stands for YouTube, right? YT50. And if you use that coupon code, you could save $50 today, which is the largest coupon I have ever offered, and actually the only coupon I have ever offered. So at the end of the day, let me know what you think. I'd love to see what you're able to accomplish with this activity. I really hope it helps you understand how different unique variables can impact your business. All right, everybody, have a great day. Take care. Thanks.